Hello, it's Teresa here from the UK. Today we're doing a little bit of a different type of project. We're going to gather up all our odds and ends, our unfinished pieces of work, no matter how small, all the fabrics that we like or anything that gives us inspiration, and we're going to make a cover for a scrapbook. I've had quite a lot of positive feedback on the last video about the scrapbooks, but a couple suggested, and actually face-to-face students suggested, that what was missing were the covers. So this is going to try and address that issue. So I've collected all my pieces. I found pieces in boxes and odds and ends in drawers and all sorts of places, mostly craft. So
add the 4 inches, that's 25
and I'm going
inches
to make
wide.
a sketchbook cover. Now this doesn't have to be perfect. Remember that this is about you and your designs and how you're going to use your inspiration to produce a design. So if you can see your scrapbooks, your sketchbooks, like an artist sees his or her sketchbook, it's a trying out marks and dots and dashes. We do that only with stitches and threads. There's no difference whatsoever. So as I said, this does not have to be perfect, and as you'll see later in mine are literally ideas. They're not perfect pieces, they're not even finished pieces. One or two that you will recognise from work that we've done before, which I've consigned to the scrapbook. Okay, now as I said, these aren't finished. They're all designed for inspiration, things that have inspired me, and they're all very small pieces that I've used to make up a cover. Now at some point I revert to calling the scrapbook signatures. Now this just makes it easier to understand that I'm going to put a couple of scrapbooks, design scrapbooks, together in the cover we're about to make, and it's easier to use the term signatures because it will then start getting a little bit confusing if I'm explaining how to put the scrapbooks into the scrapbook cover to make a big scrapbook. So I've decided to differentiate between scrapbooks and signatures. So the inserts for the design cover I'm going to refer to at times as signatures. Okay, so I hope that avoids any confusion. Now this will be done in 2 parts. First part is how to make the cover and attach your signatures, which are already made but filmed. Some of them are filmed already. Part 2, I will be doing a flip through of the pages, a very quick flip through, and I'll be taking a couple of the projects out, or not literally out, but we'll be using a couple of the projects and doing them on the screen, on the video, for you to either replicate, to inspire you, or for you just to copy, to put in your own journal or your own design fabric. I just want to show you the process of doing a couple of them. Okay, so having said all that, I really hope you enjoy this because I've enjoyed making it. I'm actually working back to front because I know what the end already looks like, but you don't. So this is a bit odd really, because normally I work from inspiration to end of design. This time I'm working backwards slightly. So if you understood all that, well done, and you will definitely understand what's coming. Okay, so knuckle down. No, I didn't mean knuckle down actually, I meant buckle down. Get your coffee, your biscuits, and just sit and enjoy the next 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, first thing to do to make the cover is place the signatures one on top of the other and measure the spine. Now my spine will be 4 inches, and then I'm going to measure across here, and that is 10 inches. So my cover will be 4 inches plus 10 inches there, add half an inch for seam allowance, which is 10.5. So that's 10.5 for front, 10.5 inches for the back, which is 21 inches, plus the 4 for the spine is 25 inches. Oh, I nearly got that wrong. So that's going up here and across by 12 inches, but I'm going to make that a bit longer. 12, say 14 inches by 14 inches. So that's a fair size. So that will be the front and the lining. Now the front, the lining's no problem, but the front I'm going to try and patchwork with all these pieces from the rag bag, or not necessarily from the rag bag, I mean that is, and there's a few pieces there that I've pulled out of the rag bag, but other pieces are from bits of samples that I started for whatever reason, didn't finish, like this was for a Christmas project some years ago, didn't get round to putting the trunks in there and some beads on there. It's knitted and I ran out of time for what I needed it for. So all this stuff is that was given to me. It's not really my style, but it was given to me, so I should use that. And all these little samples, little bits of stuff. You've seen some of this in here. I think this was from this was from a recent project, so some of the stuff in here you will have seen before. I need to go through it and sift it out and see what can be used. So that is what I'm going to do now. Now bearing in mind the size of the cover, what size is that? That's 11. Is that, no, that's 12, 13, 14. So if I were to use this, I could guide myself. Yeah, that's a good idea actually. I could guide myself as to the length. Now all I'm going to do is just randomly sew these together. Now I think I will do it in strips. Can't see how the star's going to fit in. I should do this in strips, I think. Maybe have to play about for a while. Yeah, now I'm going to give that a think. I might do these strips first, like this. I've got another piece there. Lovely. I think this is going to be great fun. I've got a fair bit of cross stitch as well. Right, so I will carry on with this, and I'm going to start machine sewing them together until I get a strip. Okay, so that is quite a fair size. I might find as I go along that I can shorten it. I will keep measuring it against the signatures, and if I can shorten it, I think I probably will. I'm looking at the size on here. So the best thing for me to do is make a start and then just keep measuring it as I go along to make sure that it's not too long or it isn't too short. Okay, so I use the measurements as a guideline, but we'll actually measure it against the signatures. As soon as I've got something to show you, I will get back. This is quite intriguing actually. So that didn't take too long. I've now joined them and they're all roughly about the same the same size, about 14 inches, maybe a bit longer, but that's okay, I can trim them later. I've also pressed them open so they all lie flat. Now the next thing to do is to sew these together, and I will arrange them into how I'd like them to look, and then I will just pin them straight the way down. Don't worry about matching the seams here because it just won't happen, because these were all irregular bits and pieces and I haven't trimmed them to the same size. The seams won't won't match. So here we are, I've pinned that all the way down there, right sides to right side, and now I'm going to machine it, and I'm going to do that to all the rest, right sides to right side, and machine them together, so I end up with a nice piece of fabric, just one piece of fabric. All the pieces have been sewn together now into a sort of patchwork, but as I said, many of the seams don't match, but that's okay, they weren't going to. In some places here, I just put a little piece of sequined fabric over a backing fabric. This one was already like it was part of a how to do patchwork series, and I just had those two over. I've applied lace to some, and here, this one here, that's a applique on the background, and I was just having a look to see how that would work, and I like that effect, the applique on some of these squares. This here, as the same as this one, were demonstration pieces that I'd used in videos, so you might recognise these and think, oh, I've seen that before, raised chain band. Yes, that's our demonstration piece there, and this was another one. I found those in a drawer beside me. I cut the knitting into two because it really was very overpowering as one length, so I have half there and I have the other half there. What else? Just odds and ends here, that's Binker with some numbers embroidered on, I found flowers embroidered, and once again the sequins here over pink dot over this fabric here, and what else, just offcuts here, little offcuts here of patchwork. So the front piece has now been sewn together, but I'm not totally happy with it, so I'm going to add a little bit of stitchery to it. I'm just going to embellish it a little bit more before I add the backing. Now the backing I have prepared, this is the backing, it's calico, same size as the front, and I've already put the iron-on violin in. So after I've embellished this as I want to, I will place these wrong sides together. Now this is how all the fabric pages have been made as well. If you remember from the previous design scrapbook video, I'm not doing right sides together, I'm doing wrong sides together, and I will sew all the way around the edge to end up with a nice fabric page or cover. Okay, so that'd be the outside and that will be the inside. But just for the time being, I'm going to carry on for an hour or so, well, several hours, and just put a little bit of embellishment around some of these, just to give it a little bit of lift. Okay, so as soon as I've done that, and maybe I put the backing on as well, I'll get back and we'll carry on. So, what have I done? I've mostly added some applique, but not too much. I'll make this just a little bit bigger, and you might be able to see it a bit better. It's finished. It's all finished now. I've added applique here with over sewing stitch. Here I've just added a band of lace. That's a dragonfly on a flower. In case you wondered when you saw that earlier, what on earth is that? It's a dragonfly, and that's that strip done. Here I've added, bearing in mind these are all things that I found around the place, hidden here and hidden there, just the letter A, and that is quite old. I did that years and years ago, so that's vintage now. I think you saw that before. No changes to that strip. Here I felt I needed to finish this off and just put my stamp on it, so I've just done a row of running stitch all the way round. Call that slow stitch if you like, but that is running stitch all the way around. Oh, it's such a size, I can't get it all in all in at one go. What have I done here? The same here, just a row of running stitch around there. I think you might have seen that one before, the applique there. I've added another applique here. Once again attached it with the running stitch. Didn't do along there because that's going to be caught up in the seam allowance, so that bit didn't matter. Just added a few more stitches to this to finish that. And finally, 2 more pieces of applique, one here and one there, and both attached with running stitch. So that is now finished. I want to remember there is an up way, an up and a down. Obviously that's going up. There's a one coming down, that's going up. So there is an up and down. Now I need to remember that because I want this edge to be the front of the cover. Now I've had a change of plan doing this. I'm not going to put the backing on as I described, wrong side to wrong side. I'm actually going to encase this, the edge, inside. So I will now be putting this on right side to right side, pillowcase way. We've done this before, pillowcase style, and the reason that I've changed my mind is because there are so many different fabrics on here, different amounts of fray going on, different edges that really need care taken with them, that I've decided to encase them all. That will strengthen the edge. I'm a bit sorry about it actually, because I've got purposely put some really nice edges here, like this frayable one here, but unfortunately the frayable ones, like the burlap as well, and the pieces of lace here, are their own worst enemy, because that's going to weaken the edge and result in a lot of tattiness further down the line. So that is what I'm going to do, pillowcase style. So that will be right side to right side, and I will sew all the way around the 4 edges, but leave just enough on one edge to get my hand through. And it really doesn't matter which edge you leave it, you leave open. I'll probably leave the bottom, because that will mean the 2 side edges will be neat. So I'm just going to leave it open wide enough to pull this through after I've sewn it into the right side, large enough for my hand, which will be about 1, 2, 3, 4, say 5 inches, 5 inches like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5 inches from there to there. Okay, so I'm going off to do that, and that'll only be a couple of seconds, and then I'll get back. I'll probably trim it first as well. That's the sewing done. This is the most nerve-wracking part now, pulling it through to see how it's looking. Right, I just need to push the corners out. Lovely. Right, moment of truth. So, right, that's looking good. That's looking good. So that's the front. And there we have the inside, the back. Now, it needs a press all the way around the edge, which I will do. That's the way I want it. If I put it that way. So that is the way I'd like it, with the opening here. Mostly because I like this bit, and I want that on show. But the next thing to do, we'll press it around the edge, and then I'll close up the gap. Now I will make this bigger so you can see what I'm about to do. I'm going to turn these in. I'm going to press them down and pin them. Like this. That one might not actually fold in because of the applique finishing on the seam line. So I'm folding it, I'm just folding the seam allowance in like that. Pop that in there. Now what I'm going to do is a very fine oversew stitch along the opening from one side to the other side, and then back through the two sides, and then over again, and then over all the way along there to close it up. So just for the moment though, I'm going to go and iron it. I've enlarged this so that you can see what I'm doing. Now you need a nice strong sewing thread. I'm only using one strand because this is a very good thread with a knot, so knot the end of it. Now find the end of your seam where you want to start sewing, and I think that is it there. Put the needle inside, so you're putting the needle between the open seam. You're going to come out of one side like I have here, and then just go across to the other side with a very small stitch, and then back. Now I hope you can see that. Then back into the side where you started, and then you do that again. So just over into the other side, and then back to the side where you started. So you really are just doing an oversew stitch. You're going over the two edges to hold them together, and carry on doing that until you get to the end of the opening. Now to finish, just go over your stitches a couple of times, say 1, 2, maybe another 3, knot it, and then take your needle back into the fabric, bring it out anywhere. This loses the end of the thread, so you bring it out anywhere like that and snip it off there. So that has now been sewn, and I think maybe if you look closely along here, you might just be able to see some very small stitches where I've closed up the opening. Okay, so that is the cover finished for the time being. That's the right side, there we go. So that is finished until we think about doing a closure, if it needs a closure, because this is basically a sketchbook cover. So I might not even do a closure on it, I might leave it as it is. Just going to make that a bit smaller, move the camera up this time, and there we are. So I'm quite pleased with that. I'll very, very carefully move that up so you can see the front, and then the back, match that up there. There's the back. That's all wonky donkey, but that really doesn't matter. And the inside. Okay, so now that is ready to have our signatures popped in. I found some more bits and pieces which I've now added to the cover. Only a couple of bits. I'll just quickly point them out. I've added some butterflies here and there, a couple of flowers. I've got one there. I found this Happy Easter lettering, so I've added that there. So this is the front. Oh, and this was a piece of lace. We have used this before in the Aubrey Beardsley project, and I've just threaded some red ribbon through the ladder of the lace, if you like. So I'm just going to pull it down here. Now what else did I do? Oh yes, I think that's the biggest. I found this heart-shaped piece of felt with the middle already cut out, so I've just held that in place with running stitch and blanket stitch all around the edge. Another flower there, butterfly here, and last of all a piece of lace along there. And I think I have added these. I'm not sure if they were there before, but I think I might have added these this time. To add the signatures, it's really quite easy. I'm going to find the half of the cover, so edge to edge, so front edge to back edge here, smooth it out and find the centre. So that's the centre. I'm just going to pop a couple of pins in there just to guide me. So I'm now going to open that up and very carefully, let me see where the pins are poking out. Right, very carefully, I'm going to draw a line there. Now that is the middle. There are lots and lots of ways of doing this, but because this is so heavy, I'm going to do a little bit of measuring just to make sure that I get the required amount of holes and spacing, so that the signatures that are quite heavy too hang nicely. Now I have the middle there. Now I have two signatures, so I don't want one in the middle because it will make the cover a bit lopsided, so I want one either side, evenly spaced, of that line. Now the spines on these are, let me have a look, 2 inches. So the spines on these are 2 inches on the signatures. So we want, I'm going to start, I think here, 1 inch in there and 1 inch in there for the second signature. Now I'm going to take it down. Tell you what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to be guided because I have a natural, you see where these patches are? They're naturally determining where I want to sew the spines in. So I want one, I think I've done that one. Oh gosh, that's right there, yeah. One there. I want the middle of this one as well, then the middle of this one, and then the middle of this one, and that should hold them securely. Let's have a look. Right, there we go. So I've already done that one, so there's the pin here for this one, pin for that one, and pin for there. So just take those pins out. Now there, I know they're evenly spaced because these are the same length. Just going to go across here, there, 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 and there, and there. Now if you feel that you can do this just by looking, then just by eye, then by all means you do it your way, okay? I don't normally do all this measuring, but as I said, because these are so heavy and large, I need to measure. Now I'm going to go right through this. I can't find my pokey tool, so I'm putting a hole there, one there, one there, one there. Now this will make it easy for me to get the needle through. One there, and there, and there, and there. Right, that's the holes in the cover. I can't even see them. So we've got the holes there for one spine. So let me, right, I've done them both. I've done them both, so busy talking. Now I want to match those holes against this. So where's my pencil? Pencil, we got one there. We got one there. One there. And one there. And I'm going to do the same here. Make the holes through the centre of the spine. So we want the hole there. Whoa, that's tough. That is tough. One. Oh, my pokey tool is so easy to use. 1, 2, 3, and right, where did 4 go? 1, 2, 3, I can't see 4 there, so I'll have to have a look there. I hope you can't hear this chair squeaking. Every time I move it squeaks. To get my son to have a look at it. Right. He made the chair, so he knows all the bits that need to be tightened up. Right, so now this is going to match the holes here. Make sure you've got it the right way up, the way that you want. And I'm going to put this in here. And right, that's lovely, that's burlap, so the holes have closed up with that. Lovely, good start, good start. So I've got ordinary garden twine for this. It's nice and strong and it's going to do the job lovely. And I've been very generous and I've cut off 4 times this. Okay, so I'm working with quite a length. I'm sure I don't need to do that much, but just in case, 2, 3, 4, or just over 4 actually. Now I'm going to make sure that's tough. Yeah, I'm going to put a knot in here, just so I don't pull the thread through the holes. So that can easily be undone or chopped off. Right, now I'm going to turn this back again. Let's have a look. Right, I can see the hole. I can actually see one hole there. I'm going to start in the middle. Thing is, I've got 2 middle holes now. Right, there's one. And sometimes it does help if you have a spare needle, because this is all about touch now. Just have a spare needle like this, just to hold it still. Oh, I don't know where mine is. Right, so that's gone through nicely. So now I'm going to turn this side and find the hole here and go in there. So right away through here, and I've actually missed the burlap, so these pages, they're not the same size, so I don't expect I a perfect spine. Right, so that goes in there. Lovely. Right, I need another hole. Where's the other hole? There it is. In there, through there, and then through there. And there should be one more. Where's the cover? Hole in the cover. Where are you? There. Let's see if that matches the hole the other side. I think I've got the wrong glasses on as well. Clever move, isn't it? Right, so now it's been secured once, going through 2 holes. If you can see that here. I'll make that a little bit bigger. There we go. That's better, isn't it? There. So now I'm going to pull that tightly, and then on the back or the front, I'm just going to go find the hole here. Let's have a look. There it is. There it is. Ooh, it's got lost this side. There's a hole. Where's it coming out? There. There. Right, so find the hole there in the cover and do exactly the same through that hole. So it's really just like a really big running stitch. So now I'm going to take that all the way up to the top, right up here, find the hole there. See it, I can see it, there's a hole. Keep losing the middle. There we go. Right, so let's find that hole there. I just glanced at the screen and it's just a mess. I hope that you can follow what I'm doing, because it just looks like one big mess to me. Got to do these one at a time. Through there. So through the hole now of the cover. Don't want to put it too tightly. And then I'm going to go through all the holes in here, just as I did before. There we go. Oh, it's quite easy this time. Through there. Lovely. And then I'm taking this back down to number 2, hole number 2, and I'm going to come out here where I started, where I went in. Right, lovely. I think that looks fine. If it isn't, it can always be tightened up. And then I'm going to just put the needle underneath that thread that is here, the long one, and tie it. Well, I'm not going to knot it at the moment in case I need to tighten it or loosen it, so just going to do that and cut it. Now I did have quite a bit left. I've got probably, yeah, a length and a bit left. Right, let's have a look and see how that is. Right. So there we go. So let's have a look and see how it's looking inside. Yeah, I need to loosen that a bit. It's a little bit tight, but it's holding. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the next one in exactly the same way. So this one will now be lined up here. Okay, so that'll go in there, and as soon as I've done that, I'll get back and show you it, hopefully finished. So I've got the signatures in. I've actually got 3 signatures in there and not the 2. I was able to put another scrapbook I have in here, so it's quite big. It's not handbag size, but it's a really nice scrapbook come portfolio. I'm just going to turn that round a little bit there so you can see the front and the side. That's the spine there, and I'll just turn that over and there's the back. Now this will need a closure, but I'll get round to that later. So, but just for the moment, that is the cover and the signatures all nicely tucked away inside. Okay, so let's just open it up, and there we have it, like one enormous book. So that part is done. Now we think about the closure and securing it. For the time being, I've decided to just wrap it with some twine until I work out what I want to do on this as a way of closure. I think because of the nature of the book, I might just use a loose scarf, a long loose scarf, to tie it, hold it together. But until then, this is part 1, the end of part 1. Part 2, I'll do a flick through, and from that flick through I'll choose a couple of quick and easy short projects for us to do together. You might want to do them for yourself, for your own scrapbook or your own design journal. Okay, so I'll see you in part 2, and I really hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, could you please like it, and if you didn't, just don't do anything, please. And perhaps those of you who haven't subscribed will think about subscribing. Okay, anyway, enough of that. Let's see each other in part 2 very shortly.